Hi, and welcome to season 2 of Frank Talks. My name is Karline Moeller, and I'm the founder of Art Frankly. I'd like to introduce you to my co-host, Ellie Hayworth, who is the founder of Hayworth, an art consultancy committed to promoting intrepid ideas at the intersection of art and design. Today, we are chatting with Angie Phrasavath and Jenna Ferrey, the co-founders of Trotter&Sholer, a New York City-based boutique art firm and gallery that specializes in emerging contemporary art. Ellie, over to you.
Amazing. Thank you, Karlina. Jenna and Angie, I'm really excited to chat with you today.
Hi, thanks for having us.
It's going to be fun. So maybe we can just start by having both of you guys introduce yourselves and just telling us, what was your journey to art? What compelled you to pursue a career in this, this kind of fun and dynamic industry we're in?
Sure. My journey to art was kind of circuitous. I studied philosophy, multiculturalism, and religious difference in Canada for a pretty long time. And then I realized I just loved visiting art museums, art galleries. I was super interested and passionate about it. So I applied to the Sotheby's art business program here in New York City, where I met Angie. And then I've been working in the industry since then.
Yeah. Amazing.
And hi guys, I'm Angie. Thank you again for having us. And so I had an aunt who was a painter, and she took care of me when my parents couldn't. And she would always bring me to these painting studios where I would paint ceramics, or she taught me how to, she pretty much introduced me into Impressionism. So that was my first inkling into the art world. And so I wanted to be an artist when I was younger, but then I didn't end up being a good artist. But I knew I always wanted to be involved. So in my undergrad studies, I did political science because I was pretty passionate about policy. And then took art history as more of a gen ed to fill a couple of requirements, and then ended up just loving it, and it became a second major. I went to London for a study abroad program that was specific towards art history, and came across Sotheby's professors in London. And that was kind of my overlap and what really inspired me to apply to the Sotheby's program. And yeah, and now I'm here.
I love that. Well, first and foremost, we're all fellow, I guess, Sotheby's alumna. So it seems like we all have kind of an interesting pedigree in that way. But it's really exciting to be talking to you guys, under the umbrella of Trotter&Sholer. I know that you founded the gallery last year during what was obviously a very tumultuous time. I'm curious to hear a little bit about just what it was like navigating a pandemic and opening a gallery. And I think, Jenna, we had the opportunity to meet at the Future Fair this year. So I'm curious to hear, obviously we're back to in-person programming. So maybe we can start with how it was founded last year and how it segued into hopefully a more positive 2021.
So we initially started working together on pop-up projects, and we had done a show with another friend of ours, Elizabeth Jose, in Chelsea, and we were actually looking for a pop-up space last September. And it sort of seems that the world was getting to be safe enough that with masks and limited capacity, we could do a pop-up show. And as we were looking to do that, we came across the space that we're currently in now. And at first I thought, well, let's do a few pop-up shows in a row. And then the more we talked about it, the more we thought, now's the time, let's jump in and let's actually really do this. So we have 2 more years in the space, and it's been really exciting and really great to finally have kind of a place to work from and be at home in.
Yeah, and I think something also really exciting about exciting about the pandemic is a little morbid.
But sure, but the silver lining maybe.
Yeah, silver lining would be that we had artists that we really wanted to work with. And I mean, the space definitely gave us the opportunity to explore what we are as a program, and especially the experimental side, because we came in with the notion that we were going to be a pop-up and not a gallery. So we didn't have concrete programming, and we kind of were just using or just working with the artists that we already knew and wanted to work with. So that gave us flexibility. But now going into year 2, we have more of a plan.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's funny. This is a theme that and I'm certainly, Karline and I have had a conversation about this, but also some of the fellow arts professionals that we've interviewed for these Frank Talks. There does seem to be kind of a change of the guard, if you will, that came out of last year. And it feels like, whether you started in a pop-up capacity, I can actually quite relate to that. I do a lot of nomadic curatorial projects, and I work directly with artists to mount those. But it's interesting to see that we were the ones who seem to have been quite nimble through all of this. And so I appreciate that you guys have matriculated into a beautiful space that you get to call home for some time. But I think there's this kind of fun, new vanguard that's coming out of, I'm hoping is coming out of the kind of challenges that we all faced last year. So ladies, maybe you can speak a little bit more just in general broad strokes about the program itself. Like, what would you say is kind of your guiding principle, or, what do you look for when you're garnering new relationships with artists?
Sure. It took us a couple minutes to get our feet underneath us. We had 2 artists right away that we were ready to work with off the bat. And then we had to kind of work really quickly at first, but we've realized now that for us, we're pretty open to medium and we're pretty open to style. We love that our space changes drastically with every show. Like every time people come in here, they say like, I can't believe this is the same space you had last time. So we're really open-minded and flexible. What we've realized for us is the most important is our working relationships with the artists. They're really collaborative. A lot of the artists will come in, if we're curating in-house, they come in and curate with us, work really closely with us throughout the whole process. So for us, it's sort of, as we're meeting new artists and getting to know them, it's really, do we feel like we have that right relationship and that right working style to work together?
I love that. And maybe you guys can allude to, what are your respective roles at the gallery? Is there a certain kind of, business acumen that you guys bring to the table? Just curious to hear how you ladies work together.
Yeah, so I'm mostly on the marketing and sales side. I definitely like to be more client facing, and I'm a social butterfly
Yeah.
by nature. And Jenna and I really complement each other because she's more on the operation and logistical side, and was the one who, founded Trotter&Sholer and really built up a foundation that we're able to safely say we are. I would say we're doing okay. We're doing all right. We're doing all right.
Exactly.
That's great.
The spreadsheets, and she handles all of the people. Yeah. So we're a small team, so we both do everything. We both will really hammer nails into the walls and mop the floors and do all of that kind of stuff as well. But we know enough to play to our strengths and not try to do what we're not so good at. Yeah, we do everything from the very on the surface typical gallery side, and then we're our own art handlers essentially.
Yeah, of course.
We've definitely had to.
I'm no stranger to that, by the way.
Yeah, but it's really fun, and we're both growing and learning so much. And also pushing each other to develop. She's pushing me to become more social and better with client relations, and I'm working with her on the business side of things, and it's really great. Yeah.
She's going to teach me how to learn Excel soon. So.
I love that. That is a rabbit hole that you can get lost in.
Yeah.
Be careful what you wish for, Angie. So ladies, tell me a little bit, you can either speak to the exhibition that you currently have on view. We obviously see a really spectacular painting behind you guys, or you can allude to a forthcoming milestone. Just maybe tell us a little bit about something timely and newsworthy that we can kind of sink our teeth into.
Well, we're super excited about this show. It's by Ezra Cohen, and it features 5 large paintings that he's made over the past couple of years, and he's incredibly talented. So we're thrilled to have this work up. And then I think we're both really excited that our next 2 shows are by Jack Marinan and Eazel Sultan, who are actually the first 2 artists we showed. So it's kind of nice to have gone through enough time to be back to show a new body of work by both of those artists who we work so closely with.
Yeah, and I feel like since their first solo shows here, they've really grown individually as artists. Eazel Sultan, she just started Pioneer Works, which we're very proud of. And Jack Vernon, we visited his studio over the winter, and we are so excited to show this new body of works. Like, we have this huge 3-panel triptych coming in, and yeah, he's really going to fill up the space.
Yeah, he had a museum exhibition in Pennsylvania, so we went down to visit that, and we're able to go by the studio that's on his family farm that he can make these huge, large-scale works in that are really impressive.
I love that. Well, we'll definitely make sure that we syndicate some of those forthcoming milestones on the Art Frankly platform, and certainly Hayworth will be happy to do so. So that's very exciting. Yeah, of course. So we love to kind of round out these conversations with some professional best practice. The Art Frankly viewers are either aspiring or very established art professionals. And, you know, we're obviously looking to Art Frankly as a resource for different, you know, employment opportunities as well as professional practice, which is why we do these Frank Talks. I'm curious, maybe if each of you could contribute, what is one key principle or value that you think makes someone a great hire in the art world, or makes them a really valuable candidate?
For me, I think the thing that I've learned through working in various industries, and the thing I've learned with working with different people, is that it's really important to know when to ask for help and when to try to do something on your own.
Sure.
And you know, it's always great to have that independence and that willingness to try things, but then also not be afraid to or embarrassed to say, you know, I don't know how this works or what this is. Could you just give me a bit of guidance? And I think that's not always the easiest thing to admit, but it makes you seem more confident actually when you're able to say what you don't know.
Yeah, I think that's a great piece of advice.
Yeah, I think for me, mostly it leans to communication and teamwork. Working in small teams, I've always worked in small teams with every single job or internship I've had. And I think the best thing is to speak up when you have ideas, because, like, for example, Jen and I we've been doing this for a year now. And so there's just some things some ideas that can come up from other people, like even our artists or curators, that will bring up a good point, and we'll consider and we'll be like, wow, I can't believe we haven't thought about that before. So I think a big thing is bringing new ideas to the table and not to be afraid to do that.
Yeah, I think both of those, and certainly if you can do both well, then I think it makes for a great candidate. I'm also curious, just, do you guys collect personally? And if so, what is kind of driving your collecting practice? I collect, and it's interesting because I find my collecting practice is actually very different than some of the work that I'm, you know, otherwise curating into projects and whatnot. So it's always fun to see how people have a relationship with their own collection.
We both do collect. I would say we're kind of, in many ways, like novice collectors. We're both still fairly new to it. And then there's the limitations of space. I was collecting a little bit in Canada before I moved here. And that work is all now hanging on my brother's wall at home. So
I love it.
There's that. But I think, right now I personally am focused on, again, it kind of comes down to those relationships with the artists, and I get really excited about meeting them. You know, budgetary things are a concern right now.
Sure.
And then space, but my approach is very similar to our approach here. It's very eclectic. And sometimes you just have this feeling that you love something, and it might not seem like it makes sense with something else, but once you start putting it all together, it really does. So.
And for me, I've been collecting since I moved to New York in 2017. There was this one small gallery, like shared space, called the Chinatown Soup. I don't know if you've heard of it, but that was the first place I curated. And I loved just seeing the emerging artists that would come in and curate their own body of works. And so I would go in there because I knew, one, it was affordable, two, it's just so interesting to see, just to see how many creatives come through this one space. And so I started directly from there. And then now as I would say still a novice, going into maybe a seasoned collector, but not quite there, a cusp of there. I've been looking at other galleries and seeing what emerging artists they've been showing. And even like galleries in Chelsea that consider themselves, or they are like mid-tier blue chip, like I'll just see what they're offering on their like lower end. But also it's works, I collect works that I love. And I take a lot of time in making those decisions.
Yeah. No, I think that's great. And I think it's hard to be in this industry without, really kind of investing in the talent itself. So ladies, I'm seeing that you probably have someone who's just strolled into the gallery. So maybe we can wrap it up with just like one final question. Is there one thing that you guys are particularly excited about for the year to come? And it doesn't necessarily have to be a Trotter&Sholer specific answer. It could just be something in the art world now that we're returning to a sense of normalcy.
For me, we have a friend, Elizabeth, who was with us at the very beginning. She is currently overseas, not sure when she's going to be able to come back to the US, but she's just created a space in Mexico, and we're hoping to maybe get down there and maybe bring an artist with us. She's got sort of a residency thing happening. So if travel and time and everything allows, that would be, I think, to sort of spend some time in the art world somewhere outside of New York for a little while would be really exciting.
Yeah. I'm also excited to see, I really want to take like trips around the country. So I love something that I really love is the Detroit art scene. So I'm really hoping to return there. And also I really want to check out Aspen. I feel like I want to see what the hype is all about.
It's merited. I have to tell you, I spent some time there this summer and it's quite lovely. So I think Angie, you should definitely pursue that.
Yeah, I'll have some recommendations after this.
Yeah, I'm happy to do it. Well, ladies, I will wrap us up because I know time is of the essence for you ladies. But this is really lovely. And again, it was really great to meet Trotter&Sholer as a gallery at future fairs. And it's more fun that we've gotten to have this conversation more personally.
Thank you so much for having us. It was really, really nice to talk to you both.